Hello, and thank you for watching this video about cost-benefit analyses. To introduce this idea, first let me introduce a scenario to you. These are wind turbines. They are giant turbines or fans that are blown by the wind. When the wind turbines spin, they spin a generator, which generates electricity. That electricity can be used to power homes and businesses. Wind turbines are an alternative to using fossil fuels like coal, oil, and natural gas. They capture energy from the wind to turn into electricity without causing air pollution or releasing carbon dioxide. Your town is currently debating about whether or not to put up wind turbines to generate electricity. It isn't a no-brainer. There are a lot of things to consider here. There are a lot of positives to building a wind farm like this, but there are some negatives too. How will your town decide whether or not to build a wind farm? The answer is to do a cost-benefit analysis. But what is that? Let's break down the term cost-benefit analysis into three parts. First is cost. A cost could be a payment or price, meaning actual money that it might cost to do something. A cost could also be a loss, damage, or sacrifice that is not about money. These are general negatives or cons. Next is benefit. A benefit could be the profit or gain from doing something, the actual money received or earned. Benefits can also be other advantages or gains that are not about money. These are other positives or pros to doing something. Last is analysis. An analysis is a detailed examination of something. If you are going to analyze something, that means you are taking a very close look at it and all of its parts. If we put all of those together, a cost-benefit analysis involves looking very closely at a project to figure out all of the costs or negatives and benefits or positives before starting, comparing them to one another. Doing a cost-benefit analysis really helps people determine if a project is worth it or if it should be completed. It's almost like making a pros and cons list and comparing them in order to make a good decision. Let's return back to our previous scenario of your town deciding whether or not to build a wind farm. In order to help them decide, they do a cost-benefit analysis to determine if it is a good idea. They must weigh the costs, or negatives, and the benefits, or positives. They must see if the costs outweigh the benefits, or if the benefits outweigh the costs. For example, there is a high monetary cost to building the turbines. They're expensive to build at first, and a lot of money is required up front. Where will that money come from? They also cost some money to maintain so that they continue working, and payment to fix them if they break down. They're also very loud and don't look pretty, so they may be an annoyance when people see or hear them. Winds also do not constantly blow, which means that the wind turbines will not be generating power 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There will be times when the wind doesn't blow fast enough to generate any power. If an area is not windy enough, they won't produce enough power to make it worth it. Wind turbines also require lots of open land. So some areas might actually have to cut down a lot of trees in order to build them. There are also birds that often fly into wind turbines and are killed, so there is an environmental impact to consider. There are many benefits though, such as the energy produced being clean. There's nothing being burned and no greenhouse gases are being released, so it does not cause air pollution. It would also reduce the use of fossil fuels for electricity, which is positive for the environment. In the long run, areas with wind turbines could save big on electricity since wind power is so cost-effective. The initial cost is large, but once the wind turbines are fully paid for, it doesn't cost much to maintain them. Wind turbines can also be easily built on existing farms and ranches, since those areas already have wide open spaces and the actual wind turbines don't take up much room. Farmers and ranchers can still continue to use the land, and they get a monthly payment for having the wind turbine in their fields. So, here are the general pros and cons. There may be more that aren't listed here. Some more specific information might also be needed, such as exactly what it would cost and deciding where that money would come from, and figuring out how much money would be saved over time. Once all of the details are figured out, it would be time to make a decision by weighing the pros and cons. A cost-benefit analysis like this is a great thing to complete before any major project to determine if it is the best course of action or not.